Thank you very much indeed. I am very conscious, listening to that discussion, that I appear to be, as I frequently am at these things, the person standing between you and your lunch. And I also noticed this morning that Mike wanted the government to go on the offensive. So I will try not to be too offensive before lunch, but I'll try and be interesting enough to keep you awake before you go off and have your food. So thank you very much, and Mike, thank you very much for the invitation to address everybody today. I'd like to start, I suppose, by recognising that the SMMT is the sector's biggest champion and loudest voice, and we listen very carefully to what you say on behalf of the industry. Getting the transition to EVs right really matters, and that was, I came in admittedly at the tail end of it, but that was a really interesting conversation. Lots of issues there that we're very familiar with that we need to tackle, particularly in terms of infrastructure. But it matters because our climate goals now depend on decarbonising transport. We've made a lot of progress in this country on decarbonising our electricity generation system, but transport is now the source of 20% of our total greenhouse gas emissions, and we can't hit our climate goals without making extensive progress in transport. Cleaning up cars and vans represents the biggest challenge and greatest opportunity to reach net zero by 2050. And with more countries following the UK's lead, we cannot miss out on the automotive jobs, investment and technology that we really want to make sure comes to the United Kingdom. But it also matters, of course, because of the events we see happening on the doorsteps of Europe. The last 18 months has shown not just the cruelty of tyrants like Vladimir Putin, but a willingness in the face of his own military failures to use energy as a weapon of war, which is another reason why we need to strengthen our energy security on top of the need to do it for climate reasons, which is why diversifying and decarbonising not only how we power our transport sector, but our entire economy matters too. So the stakes are high. The government has a clear role to play alongside industry, and that came through very clearly from the conversation you've just had. This is a real partnership between government and industry, and it's a role which can be summed up, I think, in one word, which is about confidence. To show confidence in our automotive industry through clear and ambitious regulation, win the confidence of investors by strengthening and promoting our automotive supply chain, and to earn the confidence of consumers as they consider going electric. So looking at all the barriers that are in the way and doing our part, working with industry on making sure we can deliver that confidence. There's an exciting future that everyone in this room will help deliver. Not just a future where motoring is carbon neutral, not just a future where motoring doesn't produce air pollution, but a future where exciting, innovative cars, vans and motorbikes keep delivering growth for our country and convenience for our citizens. It's not about forcing people out of their cars, which is what some people engaged in this debate on the other side of politics want to achieve. This government wants to back motorists to travel how they want, where they want, and when they want to. And our job is to make sure they can do all of those things in a way that is consistent with our environmental goals. And that's what we are about doing. Now, I know above all else, businesses want certainty and a level playing field, which is what our zero emission vehicle mandate is for. It's why we've recently consulted with you on how it should work, and we'll be able to formally announce it soon, indeed very soon. It will require a minimum number of new zero emission car sales in the run-up to 2030, giving manufacturers the certainty to increase capacity and prioritising UK drivers for future supplies of zero emission vehicles. It'll be one of the most advanced and ambitious regulatory schemes of its kind in the world, reflecting the progress already made by the sector and the confidence that the government has in you to go further. Ambitious targets also require the government to show its hand on the funding side too, and that was one of Mike's requests in his remarks earlier today. Only then can we win the confidence of investors, give the UK, capture a bigger share of the global EV market, and only then can we ensure the UK is seen as the ideal place to do business in this sector. That's why the government has already made a £2 billion down payment on a zero-emission vehicle future. We introduced plug-in vehicle grants, which still exist for vans and specialist vehicles, which reduce prices. We remain well on track to hit our 2030 charge point target, and we continue to fund research and development, whether it's the Faraday Battery Challenge or demonstrator programs to decarbonise HGVs. But automotive's greatest asset is its supply chain. 150,000 people strong. The government wants to help make it as globally competitive as possible. Many of you have already felt the impacts of the Automotive Transformation Fund, how it's building capability and new skills, how it's unlocking investments in new technology from gigafactories to hydrogen fuel cells, and how it's convincing some of the biggest automotive players to choose the UK. Just last week, thanks to this government's engagement and support, BMW reiterated its commitment to UK manufacturing, investing hundreds of millions of pounds to transform its plants in Oxford, my hometown of Swindon, protecting 4,000 jobs in the process. It means the iconic British Mini is staying home, with its new electric models expected to roll off the Cowley production line within a few years. And as Mike rightly put it, that was a vote of confidence in UK manufacturing, but it's just one of many votes being cast by this industry. Early this month, Stellantis pressed go on production at Ellesmere Port, their first dedicated all-electric plant. Tata's new £1 billion UK gigafactory alone will produce half the batteries we need to reach our 2030 target. Ford is making Halewood their first EV component site in Europe, and Nissan is developing a new EV manufacturing hub in Sunderland. All told, that's £6 billion private investment going into the UK automotive sector in 2 years. That's testament, I think, to the enduring partnership between UK government and this industry. And the charge point industry says it has another £6 billion of investment in the run-up to 2030 to roll out that infrastructure that was being talked about. Ultimately, the transition's success will be determined in showrooms and forecourts across the country. Consumer confidence is moving in the right direction, with 19% of new cars last year sold having a plug. And as more EVs enter the used car market, that trend will only improve, bringing average costs down while increasing the range of affordable models. Now, charging infrastructure must, of course, keep pace, and this is going to take a really strong partnership between government and the private sector. We've already got over 48,000 public charge points, of which around 9,000 are rapid. Despite August being a record-breaking month, with new charge points up 43% from last year, we still need a huge collective effort to ramp up progress. Mike referred in his remarks and what he said today about the need for support from government. That's why over £381 million of government investment will help local authorities both build capacity and work with the charge point sector to install tens of thousands of new public charge points to go with the private ones that will either already exist or will be rolled out in the years to come. And because of the regulations that we laid in July, soon open data, simpler pricing and increased reliability will mean that charging your car will be as easy and worry-free as filling it up with petrol and diesel. So in conclusion, we've got regulatory certainty coming very soon, a world-leading automotive sector and huge investments both from the industry and support from government in rolling out infrastructure, we are confidently moving towards a future of zero emission vehicles, which was, I think, the request from Mike this morning. And I think we, government and industry, have to work together to realise this next exciting chapter. And as I said, this is going to be a partnership. The industry can't do it by itself, and neither can government. We'll future-proof the automotive industry through new technology. We'll create new skilled jobs and sustain the existing ones and ensure transport becomes a catalyst for sustainable economic growth. That is, I think, a shared agenda which I know you'll deliver, and you'll have the full support of the government in doing so. Thank you all very much indeed.